days and colleges, we generally focus on our IQ while aiming for the successful life. But according to some studies and a great psychologist, Daniel Goleman, in a successful life, IQ has around 20% contribution, while the 80% contribution is of EQ, that is emotional quotient. Neuragym is a club that works to aware and educate people about mental health and emotional intelligence. Now I will give a short introduction of One More Life. We all have problems in our life, but unfortunately, very few of us have an access to a person who will listen to our problem
YCC
without
ଗୋଟେ
judging
ବନିଗଲା
us. We all have problems in our life, but unfortunately, very few of us have access to a person who will listen to our problems without judging us. And here, One More Light comes into the picture. On the One More Light application, we can connect to the community of peers who will listen and will be there for us anytime. One More Light provides a platform to share your problems causing mental stress while with the trained listeners and without revealing your identity. Now, I would like to introduce our today's speaker, Mr. Harsha Roy is a co-founder and COO of One More Light. In his role, COO of One More Light, Sir is building a community of empathetic peers and professionals to help solve mental health crises. Sir comes from academic background of engineering, while received his bachelor's and master's from IIT Madras. In his own words, Sir describes his vocational calling as a balance between education, informed learning, business, and product ownership through a sharp lens of caring for people's lives and rights. Now, I would like to request Honorable Dr. Praveen Potdukhe sir, HOD of Mechanical Department, RCRT Chandrapur, to say a few words.
Yes. Good morning, all. I'm audible. This
Yes,
being
sir.
a live platform, online platform, audibility, visibility are main problems. Okay, I think I'm audible to all. Yes, very
Yes,
good
sir. Yes,
morning
sir.
to all. Basically, yes, we are all in the learning platform. And basically, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many works have been converted into online. Earlier, people felt stressful while dealing online, but now this has become a day-to-day activity. Every day, something you are doing online. And education, there has been a revolution in education also. No one had earlier thought that someone from Pune, someone from other countries, maybe Western countries, maybe from Europe, will talk with you on an online platform. But the Google Meet, Zoom, these platforms have made it as possible. And the Department of Mechanical Engineering has also used the online platforms to conduct the online classes, and now some online webinars also. So the MESA, I just first congratulate MESA to organize such online program, and this is necessary. The topic is very good, I know. So why is necessary that many diseases arrive from the stress. Stress means the mind. People say that that is mind is different, body is different, and disease is different. But I believe that every disease starts from your mind. This is the one thing what I want to tell. Then the second thing is the regarding the how why the diseases occurs. Diseases occur due to the stress factor. The next question is how stress occurs. Stress occurs because most of the people do not follow routines. Routines means a timetable is there for a college. We need to prepare our timetable also. We don't prepare our timetable also when we want to exercise, when we want to go for meditation, when you want to go for a walk, when you want to go to play, when we should study, when you should interact, when we should use the WhatsApp. You know, students, I have found students using WhatsApp throughout the day. This is what causes, because unnecessarily you are devoting time to unnecessary activity. This causes stress.
Hello.
This causes stress to our body, and therefore, see, when there is a stress in our body, number of diseases scientists have proved, number of diseases, they are coming directly from the stress. And therefore, what I feel is that one should go for the strict routine, go for such programs which will educate us regarding your mental health, because mental health is that which gives you a peace actually in the stressful life. So the topic, that is webinar, the importance of mental health, health education and benefits of emotional wellness practices. So this webinar, I feel that this is a right time, and this is a right kind of platform on which student ought to be taught. Yes, what is the mental health education? You have to see, you have to be mentally, it says that physically fit or down, no doubt, but you have to be mentally fit. You have to be, see, you have to got certain routines, you have to got certain moral values, not only mental health but also moral values. What is happening again, sir? The first thing I have told, because they don't follow routines, they don't know that everything comes from mind. And second is that moral values, people are losing the moral values. They are speaking the untruth things many times, right from the birth. That is their moral value, and that has been continuing. The corruption, you can see, has been increasing rampant. Again, why? That is due to the people having no moral values. So everything, what I feel is that if you have got good moral values, all things, then you have got a mental mental satisfaction. So what I feel is that, so the speaker, Mr. Harsha Aravali, who is of CEO of One More Light, will enlighten everybody here about whatever maybe his new techniques or whatever he has prepared his theory. So every speaker has got theory. So this theory will enlighten my students for the right path, I feel. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
sir.
Himanshu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And now I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Aravali, sir, to continue the session. And after that, we will have a question answer session in which audience can ask the questions in through the chat box or by unmuting themselves at the end of the session. Please, sir.
Thank you so much, Himanshu. Good afternoon, everybody at RCRT. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. And first of all, am I audible? Let me just clear that first.
Yes, yes,
Yes, sir.
Great,
Yes.
yes.
awesome. Yeah, I hope you're all well, staying safe. And from the bottom of my heart, I wish you good fortune and happier memories in 2021 than last year. And extremely grateful to the college authorities for this opportunity. I'm sure you'll hear me say this a few times today, one way or another, but a dialogue on mental health is the need of the hour for us. And I can't thank RCRT enough for facilitating this conversation on this platform today. And special thanks also to Himanshu for taking the initiative and reaching out to us. And really thrilled to have this opportunity for us. And if you were doing this in person, this would be a good time to applaud your college and your authorities for doing all of this. Right. I know how these talks and webinars can become monotonous. In fact, I was a participant in one just yesterday, and I felt a little bit of a disconnect and distance from the speakers when they just went on talking by themselves. So, not that we need any more distancing today. So, let's just to keep it more interactive, I'm going to ask Himanshu occasionally for his comments and thoughts. I hope that's okay with you, Himanshu. It just also lets me make sure that I'm not in a different plane of communication.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great, thank you so much. Right, thank you for the introduction as well. I'll talk more about the company, my company, One More Light later. But what we're trying to do is make mental health care accessible and affordable to everyone. Before we move on, my background is also from engineering, and from what I've heard, RCRT
Yes, we generally organize it, but due to COVID-19, this time.
Of course. Yeah, generally, do you have it like inter-college, inter-hostel? How does it happen?
In hostel also, in intercollegiate and inter department.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So imagine you're in the final, and what kind of sports do you guys play?
Sorry, sir.
What kind of sports do you guys play in
We
the
play
competition?
chess, cricket. There are lots of sport actually.
Sure. All right. So imagine you guys, if you were playing cricket for in the finals of a sports competition, say it's an inter-hostel competition, and it's the last over. You're batting, and you have to get like 4 runs of the last ball to win the match. And as you go in, you're prepared for it. You're like you can do this, but somehow you end up giving a catch somewhere, and you get out. How do you feel overall? You lose the match, you lose the competition, having come to that extent, and you feel like you let down your team massively. Like you're solely responsible for this loss. That there's no going back, and you'll have to live with this feeling forever. You feel alone, small, even pushed to a dark place in your head, which keeps beating you up for what you did not do. And you can't face your friends. No one can make you feel better. You feel like you just want to shut yourself from the world. You might feel shame, guilt, or even regret for it. And you're unable to remove the dark clouds in your head. You feel a great sadness. Now, what we have seen in both these situations are difficult emotions, right? In fact, these are examples of anxiety and depression, the emotions. Now, these emotions are, everybody feels these emotions at times in response to different situations or, as Sir previously said, stressors, right? And at occasional frequencies, they are a normal, healthy part of life where you can expect emotions to subside once the stressor has been removed. But anxiety and depression, the conditions, they are a little different. For those with anxiety and depression, these emotions don't go away. They don't disappear once the stressor has been removed. Instead, they're persistent and build upon each other as you encounter more stresses during the day, during the week, etc. Even for most mental health issues, what you will see is changes in your emotion, thinking, and behavior. Now, most of them manifest as distress, mental distress, problems with functioning in social activities. That is how you see, while these come from a foundation of emotions, thoughts, and behavior, what these are diagnosed mental health conditions in different severities. Just because somebody is suffering from anxiety doesn't mean they are dysfunctional. It depends on how severely they're affected by the condition itself. Now, studies in this area, of course, have shown that 1 in 5 Indians go through some sort of an anxiety disorder. That's quite big, isn't it? Now, there are different types of anxiety disorders and other related mental health issues as well. So, just to name a few, you have general anxiety, you have panic disorders, eating disorders, PTSD, that is your post traumatic stress disorder, your OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, ADHD, which is your attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, addiction to substances, other activities or routines, even to the a little serious extent, you have psychiatric illnesses like bipolar disorder, dissociative identity disorder, or even schizophrenia. All of these come under the realm of mental issues, but just as I spoke about, all of these have their founding on your emotions and thoughts. The reason I took anxiety and depression as examples is because these are the most prevalent issues today in the mental health issues, and some of them are more prevalent than some serious physical health issues that we see. Then why do they not get the attention that they deserve, or the attention that physical health comes across? The answer lies in how they are perceived. Now, when you have a fever, you can see the patient with high temperature that can be measured. Yeah, you can you see that they're weak in the body, not able to get up and run as usual. You can might even find shivering, etc. In fact, we've advanced to a certain extent that you can take blood tests and find numbers around white blood cells to see more evidence, and we've done this for centuries now. For mental health issues, the symptoms are emotional, quote unquote, as people say, in your head, right? You don't see any broken bones, you don't see blood wounds, you don't see physical symptoms per se. And it becomes very easy to dismiss these issues as imagined or not real. This is problem number one for us, understanding. Then, yes, today we're not in the 18th century, for example, we are in the 21st century. We understand better even when it comes to mental issues. We're able to assign neurological causes for any of these, and we're able to prescribe treating. There we face the second problem, which is stigma. People undergoing treatment and therapy for mental health issues are, to a large extent, seen as abnormal, or they're seen as mental. These are not equated with a physical ailment, but just like your body needs maintenance, so does your mind, and that's where we focus on therapy or behavioral aspects of addressing mental health issues. Now, we do need to understand how to know when something is problematic, especially since we see most of these negative emotions in our day-to-day lives as well. Now, I'm not a mental health professional, and I'm not going to go deeper into how to identify different types of disorders and risk giving out incorrect information. But what I will tell you is this. If your emotional state is deteriorating to an extent that you're unable to perform or function your daily activities, right? That's probably a good time to go deeper into understanding if you're actually suffering, or if you need to be diagnosed, or if you need to look at a doctor. Moving on to the impact of mental health issues. Now, we just said that if you're unable to function or perform your daily activities, that might be a problem. Let's go deeper into what the manifestations of mental health issues are. Number one, on your physical health itself. So, for example, anxiety, you can feel it physically. You feel like you are building up with energy inside there, like every cell in your body is waiting for vibrating. You want to run from something. There are a lot of thoughts racing in your head. You feel like you're not able to breathe properly, and you want to run away from your thoughts, and you run away from the room and everything. But you can't run. You can't escape your own head. Can't escape your own thoughts. It's constantly there. Depression, on the other hand, can feel like you're being swallowed by an ocean. You feel like you're in a dark place there, and there's a lot of weight on your chest. You can't see the sunlight, as metaphorically, and you just see suffocation and weight. These are all physical manifestations. You can feel it physically. And all of this emotional push and pull takes, and again, a physical toll on your body. You feel tired. It'll impact your sleep patterns because of your racing thoughts and agitation. You won't be able to sleep properly. It'll make you lethargic, and it becomes hard to move even. Your heart keeps racing irregularly, and all of this affects your body in different ways. Number two, on your academics work, generally on your productivity. Of course, a direct impact of being tired or not sleeping well, grappling with your emotions constantly will make you less productive, right? So, what do you do? Himanshul, I'll take your help again. So, what do you do if you're suffering from a fever, for example, or you had to go to a hospital for a small surgery?
I
What
will
is
go to the
what is the aftermath of having something like that? Do you get back to work immediately?
no. I'll take the some small rest and precautions to cure myself fastly.
Right. So we basically take time. We know that we are not at the best of our ability when we're suffering from a physical ailment. Similarly, a direct impact of grappling with your emotions constantly, being tired and not being able to sleep well, makes you less productive and you don't function the same way. Mental health also affects you in the same way that physical ailments do. And finally, also on your social life, because of going through all these thoughts or basically suffering from even more severe issues where you're not, yeah, so you might find yourself like isolating from interacting with people, not having the emotional bandwidth for socializing, or even just not feeling up to it because you're tired. Now your friendships, connections with family, even romantic relationships can take a big hit. You can see that mental health affects all aspects of your life. If we were robots or unfeeling machines, it wouldn't be a problem. But we are affected by a lot of things. We are affected by stress, by trauma, by grief and loss, generally also by social discourse and arguments. And we worry about ourselves, we worry about what others think about us and whatnot. So, all of these have direct impact on our mental health. Why is this education important? To put it simply, it's important to know what mental health because it affects us in a bad way and it's more common and more prevalent than we think it is. And it is important to help ourselves get better through emotional betterment, to take the right steps to have a healthy mind. And we can see how it can affect us physically, functionally, socially. So to make sure that we are not becoming dysfunctional, we are able to do what we need to. We need to take the right steps in solving it. Equally important is to provide emotional support to those who are facing such mental health issues. We said that 1 in 5 people suffer from some anxiety disorder, right? So if you're not, then it's more likely that somebody else is. And without the right awareness, it can be difficult to address it the right way. You can probably dismiss it, and we have seen this happen a lot, right? You look at somebody who's having some mental health or emotional issue, and we just label them as they're overreacting or they're just being lazy. They don't need to be that sensitive. They should just let it go. They can snap out of it. They're just looking for attention. They're just a failure, etc. These dismissive thoughts or negative stereotypes affect them even worse. Now, first of all, it's difficult for them to share how they feel. For most people, it's hard to share how you're feeling. And now you add all of these criticisms and judgments, and they will stop from opening themselves up because they are, and it'll feed their abandonment or isolation issues. Now, this add to that, and then you can feed their depression or anxiety, other mental health issues similarly. And finally, apart from, yes, helping ourselves and helping others, let us also look at what we are going through today as a species, as a population around the world. COVID-19. So we are social animals, right? Do you know what one of the most, Himanshu, I'm going to take help again. Do you know what is one of the most severe punishments even for people in prison?
Uh, I don't know exactly. I think the penalty of death. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the lawful order. Say so for somebody who's sentenced to prison, one of the most, to keep order within the prison, people are sent to solitary confinement, for example, right?
Yeah.
That's, yeah, for days, for weeks, whatever. Now, we as a population, as a species, use solitary confinement as a punishment. And today, around the world, we are all experiencing social isolation or distancing in some form. That's a massive issue today that people are looking at. Psychologists are basically labeling the lockdown, the social distancing, social isolation practice that we're doing, as one of the biggest psychological experiments in human history. At the time of World War II, the number of people that were alive, today we have all and more such people locked down together at some point of their lives. That has been the story of 2020 for us because of COVID-19. What are the implications of this? Apart from isolation, which is affecting us, all of us, it is not allowing us to meet people, have this social affirmation, interactions, etc. It is also about the health concerns. Because people are uncertain how badly they might be affected because of COVID. If somebody is affected by it, you're not in a position to help them physically. You can't be at a place, especially even like when people experience loss in the family, you're not able to find a solace, or you're not able to grieve together. There's no communal aspect to it. And apart from health concerns, you're also looking at people who are, there are economic uncertainties, people losing jobs, students are not able to find as many jobs. Things will change, of course, but people are going through all of this for a prolonged period of time. It's already been a year since COVID. What does all of this mean, essentially? It means, and we are already seeing this 1 year from COVID now, is there are a significant increase in the number of people suffering from anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, your PTSD, and other, all of these related issues as well, whether it is eating disorders or your mood disorders, etc. So we are at a junction where, like I said previously, it is important for us to take mental health seriously. And a few statistics here. Globally, pre-COVID, we had about 1 billion people suffering from some sort of a mood-related disorder or substance abuse disorder. And COVID is basically going to take those numbers and amplify it, and immediate action is required. Number one is talking more about mental health, improving the awareness and reducing the stigma. Number two is understanding the issues and educating ourselves about it. Number three is acting on it for ourselves and for others. That is the need of the hour. Moving on to, yes, exactly. So what can we do is all of things that I just mentioned. There is enough literature available online behind all of these different disorders, and the most prevalent ones, like we just discussed, are anxiety, depression, your PTSD, plus related eating and mood related disorders. Which is similar to physical ailment. Your body needs maintenance, so does your mind. Looking at it with the right attitude and trying to be kind to people who are going through this goes a long way towards helping them. Finally, let's come to emotional wellness practices and what are the benefits, why are they important, what are they? So these are, for all mental health issues, it comes from how we experience emotions, thoughts, and these are in turn come from how we go about our daily lives. Today, we are facing a lot of stressors, right? We just spoke about how COVID has impacted it, whether it's the health risk, whether it's the social isolation, whether it's the economic uncertainties, or even polarizing, sensationalizing news outside. So all these have a severe effect on our mental health. So keep an eye on your stress levels and how often you're consuming all of these sensational news. Of course, most headlines, most news that grabs the headlines are the most polarizing. So make sure that we are limiting our exposure to all of this. And of course, like Mr. Raveen has spoke about, there's a lot of screen time for us today. Yes, it is a great instance where we are able to talk to people from across the world, but also at the same time, most of our work, most of our leisure hours are also spent on screens, whether it is your laptops, computers, phones, tablets, TVs. And all of this also affects how we are able to sleep and how we are able to dissociate from a lot of these issues. So we need to have a strict routine for education, for studying, for classes, for leisure hours as well. Of course, it doesn't become easy because of the lockdown again to take care of ourselves as opposed to how we used to previously. There are, let me talk about classic mental health strategies that everybody should look at as part of their daily life, which is looking at your exercise, looking at diet, making sure you have strict sleep cycles, and social interactions, which can be replaced today with online or calls and phone calls and video calls. And finally, personal hobbies. All of these five aspects go a long way towards ensuring that we have a balanced life, we have a balanced mind, and we are able to control and keep the negative emotions at bay. Finally, about my own company. I will be able to just quickly finish off before after which we can take the questions. So, what are we doing at One More Life? Apart from awareness, apart from people understanding mental health issues, there are bigger structural issues that are stopping mental health care from being provided to everybody that needs it. To simply put it, these are essentially accessibility and affordability. Accessibility comes from not having enough professionals, mental health professionals, to be able to meet the demand out there, especially in the post COVID world when we know that these numbers are going to increase. The reality, especially for a country like India, is that we have less than one mental health, basically a fraction of a mental health professional available for every 100,000 or 1 lakh people in the country. So that's a very severe shortage of supply when the demand is so high. And increase that supply, it takes a long time. Psychiatrists don't come out every year, and they don't come out in big numbers. You have an average of 4 to 5 years of education and training for somebody to come out. So accessibility is a big issue, not just in India and globally. And affordability. Today, a mental health counseling session costs you about 1,000 rupees per hour with a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So that's something that prevents a lot of people from actually having therapy sessions. So these structural issues are what we are aiming to battle through One More Light, and with the background of also promoting conversations, interactions, and building a community which is supportive for others. So, what we have today at One More Light, if I'm permitted, Himanshu just confirm this, if I can drop links for our official apps and social media
Yes,
pages.
yes, sir, yes, sir, sure, sure.
Great. So I'm just going to give everybody the links to our app and our social media page, which are where you'll see most of us active. And this is basically how we're looking at addressing the mental health issue. Number one, building a community of people where users can make use of anonymous identity to talk about what they're suffering through. It can be things that they already identify as anxiety and depression, or it can be other stresses that affect your emotional wellness, like, for example, your education today, how you're coping with your grades, how you're coping with your social relationships, how you're coping with financial stress, even bullying from others, body image issues, self-esteem issues, all these things. What affects your emotional wellness? People are encouraged to talk about it, and we have trained listeners on the platform who basically help you through it by building this community. There's also more content that people can learn and educate themselves about mental health, and continuing with self-help programs that people can make use of, which employ and deploy the classic mental health strategies, professional counseling sessions, eventually all built on an AI engine. Right. That's about One More Light, and I'm Harsha Arvali, and thank you so much for being part of this webinar. Himanshu, we can open it up for questions.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. And I would like to request our audience to, if they have any questions, they can post it in the chat box, or they can unmute themselves to ask the questions. If anyone have questions, please ask the questions.
Hello, sir. This is Pranav.
Yeah,
Actually, sir, I just feel happiness is small thing. What's the reason behind it?
hi Pranav, can you repeat your question?
Actually, sir, I don't find happiness in small things. What's the reason behind it? Would you please tell me?
Happiness okay, without actually trying to make it a spiritual or philosophical conversation, happiness, I guess, it derived from what you prioritize. Maybe today you want to achieve bigger things, which is what you're aiming for, and apart from those things, and nothing else meets the expectations for you. But also it comes also happiness from small things is an advice that comes from people who have lived longer lives than what we have. So they understand that yes, while ghar gadi, all of this parivar is important, or what is also important is to take, a feedback and positive negotiations, just talking to people, being happy for somebody's existence, and small little helps that we can do. Maybe I don't know how you define small things, what small things that you are involved with. Like maybe try different things and see how it can affect you. Also understand that everything contributes to our, our sense of success and achievement, which also fuels our happiness, not just the
Okay,
big ones, I suppose.
okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. How do you personally lift yourself up when you're feeling out of blue on some days? You don't. It becomes difficult, which is what we are trying to say. So it doesn't become a switch on and switch off, Ananya. So when you're feeling out, if you're actually feeling emotionally down, then it's a matter of understanding that it's something that you're going through. And yes, so most of the emotional wellness practices that we spoke about previously, they have a direct impact on how you feel, right? So this is how they come out as. So they affect your activity, which improves your energy, which ultimately makes you feel better, in a better mood. So these are all of these small things, like I guess what we spoke about, also add to all of these. So maybe it's a matter of changing your routine. Maybe it's a matter of keeping an eye on all of these, your exercise, diet, and sleep. But ultimately, these are all things that add in small amounts how you feel and how it affects your mood. And yeah, you don't, it doesn't just become a switch. So it's about having better habits and routines. And also, uh, if you are suffering from something, or if you're emotionally unwell, it's about finding solutions to that. If it's stopping you from functioning on a day-to-day basis, it becomes severe, then that's a problem for then that could become an emotional problem or a mental health problem. Second, Troy, how to deal with demotivation of doing something. Well, demotivation and disappointment are realities of life. We just spoke about how, I just gave a couple of examples, right? Where one of which you basically came out of the experience with great sadness, disappointment, and a feel of failure. So it's something that you need to understand that happens in life. We all go through ups and downs, which is why we have these emotions and stresses. And it's not about always succeeding or always being up on the right manner. It's about going through the ups and downs in the same way, a measure of balance, and looking at all of this in the manner in I'm not saying you need to only be positive, or being sad or depressed is a wrong thing. These are all what we all face, and most of us face on, very regularly. We find success, find failures as well. So if you're demotivated, I guess I kind of missed your question there. If you're demotivated, maybe it's a matter of priorities, or it's something that you can look at a different manner, readjust what you define as success, readjust what you want to do, and also find people that can understand what you're going through. And just talking about it also helps in you reflect on how you where you stand on things. I hope that's helpful. Abhishek Gupta, how to deal with restlessness and loss of focus? Yeah, I guess again, if that is something that is severely affecting your functioning on a day-to-day basis, then it could be a symptom of something larger. Otherwise, again, these are things that we do encounter, and I mean, over the time that I have spoken for 20-25 minutes, so I'm not sure anybody has basically, even I wouldn't have, as an audience member, wouldn't have paid attention to it fully. But it's about again looking at how do we so, yeah, how do we prioritize again, making sure that I mean, restlessness, loss of focus, they're not issues as such. It just these are what we again realities of our emotions. We can't expect to be on full tilt and full productivity all the time. So I guess looking at managing your routine and prioritizing things, it's important to understand what for a student, for example, to understand how to look at your priorities. You might want to basically do well in your academics, or it's not as much as a priority as doing well in extracurricular activities. And maybe you're also looking at having good memories and group of friends and probably partners by the time you get out of campus. So understand what is important for you, and the prioritization leads to more focus. And even if you're not able to, then it's about how do you say if you're studying for an exam and you're not able to sit straight for more than 30 minutes, is it because we have not planned in advance right up to the exam that you're now filled with nervousness, you're scared, and that's why you're being restless? Or is it that the fact that you don't care about the subject enough or the grades enough, you don't want to sit for longer? Or is it something that you can't help? Or is it some attention deficit issue that you're facing, which has enough, it has its own treatment issues? So all of that needs to be looked at. Right. I guess if there are no other questions, we can end the session, Himanshu.
Yes, yes. I think there are no questions yet. So thank you so much. And now I would like to request Mr. Aman Nishadraj to give a vote of thanks, the president of Mesa Body.
Good afternoon, everyone. Himanshu, I am audible.
Yes, yes, yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Aman Nishad Raj, President of MESA Community. I would like to give a vote of thanks on behalf of Mechanical Department to Mr. Harshal Araveli sir, co-founder and COO of One More Light, for providing the valuable guidance to us in such harsh condition of COVID-19. I hope that sir will come in our college if the pandemic goes away, and we will meet soon in college with sir. I would like to thank our HOD sir, Dr. Praveen Poduke, who is always ready to give his valuable time for us. He always supports us whenever we try to arrange such kinds of activities. I would like to thank Mr. Himanshu Kavle for organizing such an important and valuable webinar for us, and all the students of RCRT from various departments and mechanical departments for joining in such an online webinar meet. Thank you, sir. Once again, thank you, sir, for having you in our premises in online session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much to you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And now I would like to request everyone to please check out the One More Light, and the link is in the chat box, and I will also share it in through the email.